Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hey guys, we're your hosts, M and J, and today we wanted to do a supplementary video to the previous one we did, about Marvel's latest news on the New Warriors. Last week was a really bad week for the comic industry, but Marvel continued with business as usual. They made several tone-deaf announcements for future projects, before finally commenting on the impact the quarantine will have on the industry, especially local comic book shops. And that comment was also pretty tone-deaf, offering deep discounts to comic book shops on their products, and to retweet local shops, instead of offering more impactful solutions like returning their comics. And as of this recording, DC hasn't made any kind of announcement, and Diamond just announced that they're shutting down distribution of new comics. So basically none of these companies are stepping up and taking control of the situation like they need to. Things have been rough for local comic shops to begin with, and this quarantine could end up being the final nail in the coffin for some of them, and that would be the last thing we want to see. I'm willing to bet the only other company that's mishandled the situation more is GameStop. With Diamond stopping distribution right now, these books probably aren't going to come out in the near future, but we're still gonna roast them. Last week, after Marvel released their very tone-deaf trailer for New Warriors, they released another tone-deaf trailer for their X-Men book, Children of the Atom. I know these books have been planned for a while, but they really couldn't have thought maybe now isn't the right time for this. It seems the characters that were created for New Warriors were made specifically to spite their critics, while the new characters we're getting in this book were made specifically to pander to Gen Z. Every product is made with a target audience in mind. It's not bad that a comic wants to appeal to teens. It's probably a good idea, you know, if they knew their audience. The trailer starts with an editor saying there's a lot he could say about this new project, but all he's going to say is that there's new characters. But that's not really a big deal because it's the X-Men. They originally started out with 5 characters on the team, plus Professor X, and look at them now. There's tons of them. And what little information we're given on these characters is pretty bizarre. They don't even bother telling us their names, but they do let us know how active they are on social media.
One of them has a TikTok, one of them has a fitness Insta, one of them is basically the moderator for the mutant subreddit. One of them is a cosplayer, and the other one makes mutant music.
Interesting how none of them are YouTubers, since a lot of kids want to be YouTubers, but it might have something to do with the fact that YouTube tends to be more critical towards these companies. The writer also says that the X-Men have always been about the now, and what's more now than Zoomers? Quarantine. But you know, that's the problem with trying to appeal to the now. It doesn't stick around very long, so by the time your product actually comes out, it could very well be dated. On top of that, they're talking about Gen Z in a very stereotypical and shallow way, like they don't even bother specifying which one's into fitness and which one makes music. They just run down all these hobbies they think Zoomers might enjoy, as if that's some kind of insight into their characterizations. But I guess they expect Zoomers to pick it up just because they mentioned TikTok. The editor also talks about how the writer made up backstories and family histories for the characters, and it sounds like he's impressed with this.
Because he not only had to design these superhero identities, but also these civilian identities, and like people's moms, and like their little brother, and he's making these characters real and whole in a way that a lot of artists probably couldn't.
But that's kind of to be expected with storytelling. I don't see why they had to make that a point in the trailer. He even goes as far as to say that other artists wouldn't be able to come up with something as real and whole as this. And it kind of makes this production team seem arrogant. There are lots of great comics that explore family dynamics, including X-Men comics. This trailer is strange because everything they talk about is basically what you would expect from any comic, but they talk about it like it's so exciting and new. They're out of touch with their target audience, but they're also out of touch with the very company they're working for, and the lore of the X-Men. Sidekicks are pretty common in comic books, but that's more DC's thing. You don't see them a lot in Marvel, and that's because Stan Lee hated the idea of sidekicks, and it wasn't a secret. The only reason Bucky got to stick around as long as he did is because Jack Kirby didn't mind, but he was eventually killed off, until they brought him back in 2005, but not as a sidekick anymore. So a lot of teen superheroes were just superheroes like Spider-Man. Mutants get their powers when they're teens, which ends up working out for new characters since they can join the X-Men as new students. There's actually been several books like this, but it's like they don't really know Marvel or the X-Men, so they just thought, hey, hey, comic books have teen sidekicks of existing superheroes. Let's just shove that with the X-Men. That'll get the Gen Z kids' attention, because apparently they've never seen that before. Don't forget to mention TikTok and Reddit. These are 30-something-year-olds trying to appeal to teens, and it shows. Maybe they should try having more universal themes in their books so they don't get so dated. There are some things anyone can relate to despite generational gaps. Imagine if they had made this book in 2016 and one of the kids was a Vine star, and then Vine shut down. That's probably what's gonna happen to this book. The trailer ends with the writer saying that people are gonna super dig it. Well, that like to dislike ratio isn't looking very promising. That and Diamond shut down distribution. So I guess the only way to get this book is through digital, which a lot of people are not fond of. The industry really needs leadership through these dark times. And Marvel and DC refuse to step up. They haven't been very good leaders for a while. But even when disaster strikes, it's still business as usual. And then Diamond shuts down distribution. They need to improve the quality of their products and start taking care of the shops, or else the shops won't be there when this whole thing is over, and I guess the industry will have to move on to something else. But those were our thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think this can still be turned around, or do you think it's too late because Marvel and DC dug their head in the sand? There's always manga and independent comics. Thanks for watching, we really appreciate it. If you want to support us, you can buy us a coffee or donate to our GoFundMe. Links will be in the description. Our next video should be a She-Ra episode review. We fell pretty far behind and we're gonna try to catch up before the 5th and final season in May premieres. Stay safe out there, and hopefully things will go back to normal sooner rather than later. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye everybody. Bye guys.